This is 1 in 44, a presentation of Anderson Center for Autism. 1 in 44 is a weekly show devoted to autism spectrum disorder.
Good morning and welcome to 1 in 44, the weekly talk show on topics related to autism spectrum disorder. I'm your host, Eliza Bozensky, Chief Development Officer at Anderson Center for Autism. And this morning I am speaking with my colleague, Tracy Schober, Senior Admissions Administrator at Anderson. Tracy, good morning.
Hi, Eliza. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm glad to have you with us today. We've known each other for several years. You've been here for quite a while. I'm going to ask you to get into some of your background in just a minute, but I'm really excited to hear you talk about the upcoming resource fair and expo, which is the main part of our focus today. But it is connected to a lot of other things that you're involved with right now as the organization grows, both in the provision of services, the people that we serve, and also the geographic expansion that we're going through right now. So I'm hoping you can kind of tie it all together, and then we can get the word out about this event coming up in January. So why don't you start with just a little intro and your background?
Okay. I've been with Anderson for almost 12 years, and I've been in the admissions department for that time with various roles. And one of the roles within that department was overseeing our Medicaid service coordination. And I feel that sort of ties into this resource fair piece because of all of the different community connections that Medicaid service coordinator at that time would have to make for those families and provide those resources. And finding those resources can be challenging. So that was always in the back of my mind when I was asked to help to lead the development of this resource fair. And the other part of my role here at Anderson is I oversee admissions and outreach and work with a great team there. And then I am the lead facilitator for our ECHO Autism program, ECHO Autism, Autism Best Practices. And that launched in September. And so those are all great as well, community resources that can tie back into the reason why we're creating a resource fair.
Absolutely. And you're also very involved with some external professional organizations and groups that have similar or related missions to what we do here at Anderson. Do you want to talk at all about some of, because you've really been a face to those organizations and making connections with Anderson and also with some of the national outreach for student recruitment as well, right?
Yes. So more recently and more locally, I was recently elected to the board of directors for the Autism Society of the Greater Hudson Region.
Great.
And so that is pretty new. So this fall. So I'm very excited to be part of that organization. And again, another community resource up in that capital region as well. And then I'm also the president of ADAM, which is a group of professionals that are within development, marketing, and admissions throughout the United States who really get together on a quarterly basis to share resources and information in best practices in the world of autism and developmental disabilities. And we're really a great resource for each other. So it's building those professional partnerships, again, across the United States.
I love that. And I see commentary on LinkedIn and other social media outlets where when the ADAM group get together, they're very complimentary of you in a leadership position. And I think that's great because there are several folks here who understand the importance of representing yourself and also Anderson when you're out in the community, and you've done that for a long time. So I think that's, I just wanted to make sure people got the whole sort of picture because you were truly everywhere, all over the country. I don't know if you've been out of the country yet.
Not yet,
Anderson, but I sort of see that in your future, maybe. All right. So thank you for that background on yourself. Let's move in a little bit to the capital region expansion, because we've just opened a site in Latham, New York. We've just joined the Capital Region Chamber of Commerce. We're making connections up there. We're going to have a clinic. We're going to have a an early learning academy serving preschoolers. So to me, that sends a message. It's similar to when Anderson School went from Anderson School to Anderson Center for Autism. And the message to the community then is, you can count on us to be a resource. You can count on us for more than just the specific services that we offer. So can you talk about where this idea for a resource fair, an expo, came from, and maybe who was involved in that decision? And we're going to cover as many times as you want. You throw out the logistics of the time and the place and that, because we want people to make sure they come. But also tell us the story of the fair.
All right, great. So I will start out with where we are hosting our fair this year. So we're hosting the Inaugural Resources for Autism and IDD Information Sharing Expo on Tuesday, January 24th, 2023, from 2 to 6 p.m. at the Crown Plaza, Albany, the Desmond, for those of you who know it as the Desmond. And that's located at 660 Albany Shaker Road. And I'll try to say that again later within the broadcast. So to give you a little bit of background, in early 2022, we surveyed hundreds of community members in the greater capital region. The results really showed us that there was a desire from respondents to know what resources existed and how to access them. To talk a little bit about the polling results, those that were polled indicated they were looking for services and supports that really spanned across a lifespan, but indicated a real heavy focus on services to support preschool, school age, and transition age individuals. The survey also indicated separately a need for recreation services, employment, family supports, developmental pediatricians, to finding applied behavior analysis providers, and then related services like speech and occupational therapy. So those were needs that were identified through this survey. This was great information. And it really aligned with the input we received at a community town hall that we hosted in October of 2021. We knew at that point, listening to the town hall, that there was a disconnect in finding information. We heard from school districts, providers, legislators, and families at that event. And, really from a parent perspective, for a parent of an autistic child or individual with an intellectual and developmental disability, it can be time consuming to surf the web, try to find the supports and services needed. And what we wanted to do at Anderson was to provide an opportunity to bring people to a central location in the Albany area to share that knowledge and those resources. And so that's sort of where it came about. And then to give you a little background on how we then developed that, we organized a resource fair work group, and that was organized here through Anderson, and it includes now community partners as well as an Anderson parent on that group. Mm-hmm. And this group has really worked collaboratively to name the event, to reach out to potential sponsors, to set up a registration platform, and to promote the event through social and news media outlets. We also had another group that we worked with, again, really tying in that collaborative spirit, where we worked with the Capital Region Advisory Group, which included members from organizations like Albany Medical Center, Developmental Behavior Pediatrics, the College of St. Rose, and SUNY Empire State College, as well as Wilsensky and Pleat Law. And they all provided insight and feedback on our Capital Region expansion, but also on the development of the Capital Region Resource Fair. So one of the things I found in this group was that this college connection, because I mentioned a few colleges there, that this college connection was interesting, as we learned that colleges, they're not only providing degrees, but they're providing services and supports to neurodiverse individuals. Mm-hmm. And so that's something that I don't know that everybody really thinks about. And so an example of this is the SUNY Empire State College's Center for Autism Advocacy, the Research Research, Education, and Supports, or the CARES program, who is currently working in partnership with Anderson Center for Autism to build an autism supportive college. So I like to throw that out there because it really shows really that spirit of collaboration, which is another reason why we're looking to have this resource fair happen in 2023.
Excellent summary, Tracy. Thank you. It's interesting that you brought that collaborative approach up, and it makes me think of something I just said to to another guest, also from Anderson, Kathleen Marshall, who we all work with very closely, and we were talking about some of the consultative work that happens through the teams she's working with, and I find myself more and more often talking about how the number of people diagnosed and children being diagnosed with autism in this country keeps increasing based on the CDC study. That's why the name of this podcast keeps changing, because it's named after that statistic. However, at the same time, the numbers are increasing. The community keeps feeling both expanded because I guess in some ways it's bigger, but it feels smaller too, because I rarely think about a quote unquote autism community and something else. It's really, for me at least, we are community. We are all connected in some way. And I think that college experience is a really big piece of that colleges themselves are starting to promote the fact that they have programs and services and supports to help individuals on the spectrum or with other neurodiversities be successful in their programs. And like you said, are not just training the next generation of professionals to work in various fields, but are also just becoming a much more inclusive environment than maybe they were in the past, or certainly more than we ever knew about in the past. So great time to be putting all these collaborations together. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, I'd love to just dive into the actual fair, some of the vendors, some of what people will expect. And I know you're featuring a very special organization that we want to talk about a little bit. So when we come back, we'll get into all of that and remind people when and where and how to get more information about the upcoming resource fair and expo. This is 1 in 44, the weekly talk show on topics related to autism spectrum disorder. I'm your host, Eliza Bozensky, and we'll be right back.
Alone, our reach is limited. No matter how great our intentions, on our own, we can only stretch so far. But at Rotary, we believe the right group of people working together can make our communities, our world, a better place. Rotary is a worldwide network of community volunteers dedicated to helping people in need. Learn more at Rotary.org. Rotary, humanity in motion.
And now 1 in 44 continues on 100.7 WHUD. This is a weekly community affairs program presented by the Anderson Center for Autism.
Welcome back to 1 in 44, the weekly talk show on topics related to autism spectrum disorder. I'm your host, Eliza Bozensky, and I'm talking today with Tracy Schober, our senior admissions administrator and leader of the upcoming resource fair in the Capital Region, to be held on January 24th, which is a Tuesday, from 2 to 6 p.m. at the Crown Plaza, otherwise known as, for those that have been around long enough, the Desmond, which is certainly how I refer to that place, but a great location and a really accessible location for what's going to be an excellent resource fair. And Tracy, thank you again for the first part of the show. You really told us the story of how it came to be, why we're hosting our inaugural resource fair, and the reaction, or I think it's worth highlighting again that you went out of your way to assess through surveys and that community forum what the needs were before just deciding to put together a fair and saying, what the needs are. We really wanted to make sure that we are responding to what people are asking for in that area. So I think not only for people located in the Capital Region, but really from as far away as you can hear this and you can get involved and get yourself there. There will be something for everyone. And on that note, can you tell us a little bit about what to expect? Who do you expect to be there? And for the person either interested in a sponsorship or interested in being a vendor or interested in just coming and getting resources, what should they expect?
So I feel like I could start off with who could benefit from attending. Individuals that could benefit from attending would be school district personnel, families, providers, organizations like Anderson or sister organizations, pediatricians, care managers, social workers, mental health providers, psychologists, parent groups, special education teams, special education parent-teacher associations. So those are just some examples of attendees that would benefit from coming to a resource fair. I want to take a moment before I dive into like the sponsor piece. Is something that our resource fair work group did was create goals and objectives, and they really tie into who would benefit from coming to the resource fair. And our goal is really to provide autism and IDD resource awareness in the capital region, but the objectives really hone in on who would benefit. And we're talking about really increasing the capacity of families and providers so they can find appropriate resources in their community. And that also includes school districts. I mean, heard through that town hall that, the resources aren't readily available. Also increasing awareness between providers to really inform providers of who is out there, because Anderson Center for Autism, for example, we know what we do, but we might have a sister agency that can do something different, or maybe it's a service we don't provide. So knowing, what resources to be able to offer families, even if they're not within our own setting. And then increasing that in community awareness of the colleges and universities' role, not only in that, the academic piece, but the service provision and the educating and then training future service providers. And then finally, really having the community understand what services and supports Anderson provides out there, and those supports that would be up in our capital region location to really focus in on the capital region area. And then, something that I think is important is the timing of this resource fair really pairs nicely with the opening of our clinic. So our Anderson Center Clinic and Anderson Early Learning Academy. It really gives us the opportunity to connect with those capital region providers to share information about the supports and services to foster those relationships that are really going to benefit countless children and adults. And so those are also the families and providers of those children and adults are really going to benefit from this resource fair. And it's not only going to help the community members find those services and supports for themselves or someone that they know, but it's also a great opportunity to foster a collaborative community of providers. And those providers are going to share that information not only with each other, but their clients to support autistic individuals. And that awareness really of those services and increasing knowledge of what is available in the broader community is why this resource fair is happening.
Thank you for that. Obviously, a lot of work went into the planning and the decision making around why to do this and what the objectives are. And I hope that you reach your outcomes because they're all really important and impactful. You mentioned, let's just talk briefly about sponsorships, because I know there are sponsorship opportunities and vendor opportunities. We don't have to go into every opportunity, but I believe people can find out more on our website. And are there other places where you'd want people to go and look for information?
So you could go to our website. On our website, you could specifically go into our calendar at AndersonCenterForAutism.org, and the calendar page will also push you to how to register as a sponsor, but also how to register as an attendee. And attendance is free. So anyone from the community who comes to attend to learn about the resources that are going to be presented on the 24th of January, it's free to the public. Okay. So we hope we'll have a great turnout. There'll be raffles as well. So some of the sponsors are at their tables are going to be having raffle items. So it should be a nice opportunity to get to know your vendors, sponsors, and have some great conversations. We have a range of sponsorship opportunities. And so without going into specific detail, the range really goes from $125, which is more of a basic table level, up to $1,500. And each sponsorship level has slightly different benefits. And we also have a nonprofit sponsor, and that nonprofit sponsor rate is $100. And so that can all be found on our website. Mm-hmm. And then for those who aren't able to attend, but would really like their information in a resource directory, we have a resource directory sponsorship opportunity of $25. And so on the 24th, the fun does not end on January 24th. After the 24th, our RAISE work group will be putting together a resource directory that's going to be available on our website after the event. So awesome. I do encourage people
something to literally for everyone.
Yes, absolutely.
I just want to reinforce, because this is also part of my job at Anderson, is fundraising, and really just a shout out about the sponsorships. Events like this have huge impact and meaning for everyone in your community, your neighbors, your friends, the people who work at the grocery store, your child's classmates, their families, doctors, nurses, first responders, everyone you can imagine that helps make your community go round and round and keep people safe and comfortable and happy. If you have the opportunity to sponsor an event like this, it does help Anderson. It certainly helps us continue to plan to put together these events. But the real impact is for the people in your community who are accessing those resources. So I would just reinforce that if you're thinking about it, if you have an opportunity to provide support, check us out on our website, andersoncenterforautism.org. Go to the calendar, look for the resource fair that's happening on Tuesday, January 24th, and you can get all sorts of information. And you can contact, I'm sure, Tracy and anyone else through the website to get more information. If we can answer any questions for you, we're always happy to. I want to transition now. We only have a couple minutes left, but you are featuring at the event a special, I guess, new sort of, I don't know if they're a partner yet, but definitely a nice new contact up in the Capital Region that seems to be really well connected to what we're trying to accomplish up there as well.
Yeah. So we're doing something that we thought was a little unique, and we are featuring Bring on the Spectrum. And so Bring on the Spectrum is going to operate our sensory space at the event. They're going to organize it and run it. The sensory space is going to provide an opportunity for individuals to really get away from it all for a few minutes, get away from that busy exhibit hall environment. Bring on the Spectrum, for those of you who do not know who Bring on the Spectrum is, they are a sensory gym and community space that provides social, recreational, and lifestyle activities for individuals of all ability levels across the lifespan. One of the things that really struck me about Bring on the Spectrum and why we thought they would be a good community partner in this event is because their mission really aligns well with ours. Their mission is to support neurodiverse individuals with opportunities to achieve their best quality of life as a respected member of the Capital Region. And this collaboration really does support our Anderson mission of optimizing the quality of life for individuals with autism, people with autism, excuse me.
I think they're great too. And I love that you're bringing in an aspect to the day that is really specifically designed to support people who you want to feel very welcome and comfortable walking through the doors of the Crowne Plaza and getting something out of it, but also having a hands-on experience that's unique. And also for those of you who want to learn more about Bring on the Spectrum, or BOTS as we refer to them, I interviewed Lisa Audi, who is the executive director of that organization, I think the founder of it, on this very podcast about a year ago. So if you dig through our podcast, you can find that interview. She was getting ready to open at that time. So it'd be cool. And from what I understand, they're doing very well. So that's another thing to look forward to. We're just about out of time. Tracy, are there any parting words for our listeners about this upcoming event?
Just that the Resources for Autism and IDD Information Sharing Expo is going to be held on Tuesday, January 24th, 2023, from 2 to 6 p.m. at the Crowne Plaza, Albany, the Desmond, located at 660 Albany Shaker Road. And I'd love to just take my final words to give a shout out to some of the sponsors that we currently have. And they come from various service areas that support individuals with autism. We have organizations representing areas such as recreation and camps, pediatrics, psychological services, applied behavior analysis providers, clinical services, college, preschool, school age, education, adult, and lifespan services and supports, as well as technology and equipment vendors. So just a quick shout out, thank you to Springbrook, Fair App, New Meadow, the College of St. Rose, Double H Ranch, Capital Care Developmental Pediatrics, Creative Harmonies Music, Center for Disability Services, Dayware Incorporated, Warren Washington Albany ARC, and Chelsea Place Psychological Services. And we hope to announce many, many more sponsors in the coming days.
Absolutely. Thank you to those sponsors. It's great that you've taken a lead role here and gotten involved early on, but there's more opportunity available, as Tracy went over before, and you can find on our website. Remember, attendance at this event, just attendance as somebody coming to gain resources, gain information, is free, but there are a range of sponsorship opportunities from about $100 for nonprofits, or even less than that for a directory listing, but all the way up to where we'd really love for you to step in if you can at the, higher levels around $1,000, $1,500. All the support really helps us stay committed to doing this on an annual basis, which I think will have impact for years to come. So remember, the Resource Fair and Expo, it's a longer name, but that's what I'm going to call it for now, is happening on Tuesday, January 24th of 2023 from 2 to 6 p.m. at the Crown Plaza, Albany, otherwise known as the Desmond. Tracy Schober, thank you so much for coming on and talking to us about this today, and best of luck with the event. And I know many people will look forward to seeing you there.
Thank you. We'll see you in January.
All right. This is 1 in 44, the weekly talk show on topics related to autism spectrum disorder. I'm your host, Eliza Bozensky, and remember, Anderson cares.
You've been listening to 1 in 44, a weekly presentation of the Anderson Center for Autism. Join us for another edition of the show at this time next weekend.